Good morning, everybody. It's me, Jacoby. You are tuning in to another episode of Wait, Have You Seen This? I'm sure you know that if you're on the site. I'm here with a good friend of mine. Well, I should tell you where I'm at. I'm in a little place called Julian, California. It's an old mining town, and we're gonna go into a gold mine is where we're gonna go. We're gonna check it out. I'm sorry, I was listening to the guy. But anyway, this is the intro. Isn't it horrible? But there's not much to see right now, but look at these. Look at that. These are classic cars. Alright, we gotta go. Alright, this is the group we're going in. Anyway, alright, let's keep going. I gotta listen to the rules.
Dog has started to fade a little bit, but it's still there. That's that ring, what we call that ring around the sun. When you see that around the moon, it's a moon dog. Well, everybody, welcome to Julian. Now, you may already know it, but Julian is an authentic gold mine town, a real boom town that was founded by gold miners during the gold rush. And a lot of boom towns end up going to, turning into ghost towns, but Julian survived. It divested into apples, so it managed to survive when the gold played out. Folks, all the gold in Julian comes out of quartz as tiny, tiny particles. So no big chunks of gold in the quartz, no veins, no nuggets of gold in Julian. Only tiny particles locked in the quartz, unless it's naturally eroded already by weathering, and then you might find it in the creeks as placer gold. Use your gold pan to catch it if you're lucky. The rest of the gold locked in quartz has to be hard rock mined out of the mountain, then crushed to get the gold out. And that's why they have this stamp mill here, or rock crusher as we call it affectionately. This is a 5 stamp mill with 5 stamp rods. Each of those rods weigh 1,250 pounds. So those are massive hammers. It has this hammerhead on the bottom of each, landing on this anvil, crushing this rock to an extremely fine consistency. As it's being crushed, that gate would be down, that chamber would be filled with water. So the result would then be a slurry or a superfine mud oozing through that screen and making its way across this ramp. On that ramp, they had a sheet of copper, and on that copper, they spread mercury, which creates what they call an amalgamation plate. Coleman had a cast iron skillet when he found gold the first time. He didn't have the luxury of this lightweight pan. Those panners were into the creeks from sunrise to sunset because they were their entrepreneurs. They were self-employed, so they'd be down there first thing in the morning till dark, panning for gold, maybe in the creeks, wet all day. So the cast iron skillet would have got heavy for them. Now we have lightweight pans with an advantage they didn't have to the ripples. Ripples are what they put in the sluice. Now they put ripples in your gold pan. These will catch the gold particles right here. But let me show you. So the ripples are an important part. They are, when you're panning for gold, you'll have the ripples submerged with their pan of sand, and you'll be rotating the pan to swirl the water that way. Okay, so that's... Okay, now the first thing I do, what you want to do is start with a pan full of sand, because if there's gold in the sand, the more sand you start with, the more gold you're going to end up. The sand's the reason. Now then you shake it rigorously underwater, loosening the sand. You want the sand to be kind of bouncing in water. That loosens the sand to allow the gold, which is 10 times heavier, to settle on the bottom. This action is called slushing. And you want to slush for a count of 20 or 30, get that gold settled on the bottom. Now, you're going to do that action I was showing you. Nice rotation. The water and sand roll right over these ripples.
All
He doesn't get the stone out of here. We get stones from the parking lot. Okay, here we go. Settle that gold one more time. If you're looking at the gold, you could lose it. When you're... So the miners would then grab that up with their eyedropper and put it in their leather pouch called a poke, and then go right back in to dig as many pans a day as they could. So when they find this, it would say Eureka.
Really?
Well, unless they didn't want someone to know they found gold.
In a minute we're going to do that right there, and hopefully I can find something. We don't get to keep it,
All right,
but
guys,
we get to do it.
Everybody give it a try. Don't
right,
forget
here we
to
go.
use your rip.
So here I am trying to pan for gold.
That's a good selection. And then make sure you're using your ripples correctly.
All right. All right. We're gonna come back when I find something.
Let me look at the engine.
See if you guys can see that.
And then we'll come back and
There's my gold. Just a little, but we did a decent job. Decent job. All right, let's go. So I hope you guys saw that pretty good. I actually did pretty decent in finding some gold. I've been watching YouTube channel, Mr. Dan Hurd. He taught me how to do that. Look at this. I don't know what none of this stuff is, but it is so cool. Love to see old stuff. There's a bucket that used to bring out the ore, and it's cool. We can't go in yet, but that right there is gonna be where we go in to see the gold at the Ingle mine. It is cool in there. We can go there in a minute. Look up there. It's actually really cool. That right there is quartz. That's where you can find the gold in. I don't know if that's actually gold right there, but that is really cool. That's where they find gold. All right, let's keep going.
Here's kids. Cart. It's a cart. It's a mine cart or an ore cart. Either answer would be correct. It's a 1-ton mine cart that holds 1 ton of quartz. So this is what they had to fill with this product here. It's quartz that they're digging out of the mountain. This is in the mountain, running as like brick walls running between layers of sediment. That'll explain. Close. So back in the miners' day, though, they didn't refer to this as a mine cart or an ore cart. They called it a trolley. Now this is what they call a hoist bucket. The miners would ride this 2 men at a time down a vertical shaft to access one of 5 tunnels off that vertical shaft, much like an elevator to the floor. They would go to one of those levels to go into that tunnel to bring out quartz, and then fill it, have the hoist man bring it out of the shaft. It would get dumped in the mine cart, and once the mine cart was filled with a ton of quartz, they gave it a shove, and that mine cart would then travel out of the way out of the mine to the exit. That's because they pitched the tracks downhill, so they never had to push a full mine cart uphill. Yeah, they learned that on their first day. Hey, we're pretty smart guys. Hey guys, now I want to give you a little background on this mountain we're getting ready to go through. This is 160 to 170 million year old seafloor. So it's mid-Jurassic age rock. This is part of North America from millions of years ago when North America was all underwater. Now, about 150 million years ago, as North America is sliding westward, it collided with an eastbound tectonic ocean plate. That ocean plate being denser, as they collided, North America buckled up, and that ocean plate went underneath into the mantle, 50 miles deep into the mantle where it melted into magma. That magma is welling up in the mountain-sized pockets of magma that slowly rise through the depths. When it reaches about 2 miles underground, it starts to cool into granite. That granite continues to rise and eventually makes it to the surface. So, about 120 million years ago, that granite surfaced as what we now know as Mount Woodson, or Mount Helix in La Mesa, or Stonewall Peak. All the granite through Baja California up to the Santa Ana Mountains is the result of that ocean plate melting into magma and coming up as granite. As that ocean plate is turning into magma, it still contained water. Well, now you had water in the magma, only under superheated and under extreme pressure. And under those conditions, water dissolves quartz. So you had then a superheated solution of silica, like a rock soup, forcing itself out of the magma and into the fractured layers of seafloor, which then congealed and cooled into quartz. So that's what their target is in the mountain. That rock soup coming out of the magma back then. So they did not build this for their 6-foot guests. Folks, watch your heads, everybody. Yeah. Come on in.
All right, here we go. Already hitting my head. So we're now inside of the mine. All we can do is really walk through, but check it out.
All right, folks, it was that winter storm in 1869 that lured them into gold in the area. Of course, that storm being in the middle of a drought sent them into the hills looking for quartz. Now, when they're on the surface, this is what they found. And after they recognized, again, that these quartz ran east to west, they pursued it this way in a cross-cut tunnel. When they find a pocket they like, they pursue it. They pursue that quartz and create a drift tunnel. So the tunnel drifts with the quartz. But this is the quartz they needed to dig a ton of right here. On either side is that metamorphic seafloor. They have to dig 10 ton of this rock out of the way to get to a ton of quartz. So lots of digging to do. 1 ounce was their break-even point. If they didn't get an ounce of gold, they were losing money. And usually they got a 2nd ounce. So they generally didn't lose money, but sometimes they had to check. You can see little sparkles every once in a while. Alrighty, folks. Hey, we're going to keep on moving here. Watch your heads, everybody.
It's 60 degrees in this thing. I didn't really think I was that tall until now. I'm gonna bend down and here to check me out. This place is cool. Some tracks down. It's a little dark in here, but it's actually pretty cool. We got a pretty big group with us. There's a lot of people in front and behind. Start behind. Sorry, I can't stop and talk about anything because we're constantly moving. Let's keep going. We'll come back in a second.
mine. We're now in the neighboring gold mine, the High Peak mine. Now notice the ceiling in here is not rounded and arched like when we entered. It's rough and black and angled. It was because it was blasted. And there's evidence, remnants of these blast holes right here. They're all over the place here. And many back here too. There's a whole bunch of them back there a little bit. Yep. Folks, when the miners were advancing the tunnel using blasting powder, they would drill 5 holes in the rock. Each hole would be 4 foot deep. So they drilled 2 on top, 1 in the middle, and 2 down low. They drilled those 5 holes with a 3-man crew. One miner would hold the chisel while his 2 partners took turns striking the chisel. Boom, 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 like that. Alternating turns striking the chisel. The miner, and this was hours and hours of labor. So the miner holding the chisel had to hold a stable target while his partners were striking it. But he also had to keep that chisel from getting stuck in the rock. So each time they struck it, he had to back it out just far enough to give it a quarter turn. He's doing this the whole time striking, he's doing that. Now once they finish drilling 5 holes, typically it's the end of their shift, they can exit the mine. The powder man would come in and fill the 5 holes with blasting powder and set up the charges. Then once the smoke and dust clears, a fresh crew comes in to start their 10 or 12 hour shift by gathering all the broken rock. Sorting the quartz from the metamorphic rock. And they called that mucking. They got all that muck out to the processing area where they could crush the quartz. They may have hours, enough time to maybe lay a section of track before they have to drill those 5 holes for the powder man. So that was their routine, folks. So we are near the end of this crosscut tunnel where we're cutting across the pockets of quartz that are perpendicular. The crosscut is basically just discovery and access to the pockets of quartz. And then they follow those in, creating a drift tunnel. So right in front of us is the end of this crosscut. We'll make a right turn and follow drift tunnels the rest of the way out. Off the Elsinore Fault. So it looks like what it did here is it just spread a little bit. There was some relief in this kind of spread out, creating the allowing it to like fill with the different material, mostly iron. Alrighty, folks. Hey, well, let's keep going. We're gonna make our way around the corner here.
So the guy said this was a fault line. Okay, cool. Alright, let's keep going.
That's the original hoist bucket right there, folks. The original
Là, il va tomber dans le trou.
He said this is the original hoist bucket to raise them in and out. It's too cool. Let's keep going.
And that's where those 5 tunnels were accessed. So this is, come on around this way, folks. Come on in, everybody. There you go. Come on in, folks. This is the power source that raised and lowered that hoist bucket with either the quartz in it or with the men out of that vertical shaft. Now, each of the 5 tunnels below had a bell at the entrance so the men could communicate with each other in a system a bit like Morse code. Now, by each bell, they had this chart so the men didn't misspell their messages to each other or misinterpret somebody else's message. So, for instance, if the hoist man heard the miners ring 2 bells in one, he knew they'd loaded the bucket with quartz and he'll hoist at full speed. But if the hoist man hears the miners ring 3 bells in one, he knows it's the men in the bucket and he's going to bring it up nice and easy. And hopefully the hoist man never heard the miners ring 7 bells. It would let him know they were having an emergency or something bad was happening down below. So this machine was brought in here in 1896. That was only 1 year after they'd patented gasoline engines in 1895. So very early gasoline engine here, folks. You want to hear this bell one time? Here we go, one bell. You guys ready? You flinched. Hey, so right overhead, folks, is the pocketed quartz that the high peak miners would have seen as an outcropping on the surface. And they simply pursued it all the way into the mountain, creating the drift tunnel we're in now. So they also, this is a big pocket of quartz, they would have been following this in the depths below. The 5 tunnels below all were mostly pursuing this pocket of quartz, as well as the 5 levels above us. So the entire high peak mine was following the single pocket of quartz at different levels.
Do they have to take everything out now, or is there still?
It's old sea salt here. You can see sea salt here and there.
Don't lick it. It's not delicious. We gotta go up here.
There's a map here. The upper left corner depicts the 5 pockets of quartz in the mountain, all running parallel to each other, east to west. And this horizontal line represents the crosscut tunnel we came through downstairs, and we are right here right now, and we'll be following that the rest of the way out, that way. But, hey, well, let's head down to the foreman's office, folks. We're going to go this way for a bit. Come on in, everybody. Come on in, folks. Have a seat. What I'd like to do is point out that the foreman had an office with a view. Check out this.
Ah, vous avez la vue du bureau. Ça, c'est le bureau du...
So it's a view of the ocean floor at one time. Guys, the foreman, he kept about 15 men busy per shift. He knew where each man was because he would assign him a place to work. He probably went down to, okay, I want you to dig right here. And, you know, so 15 men, he would assign a place to work and a task, so that way he knew what each of his men were doing and where. The foreman kept track of minecarts exiting, never sending the minecart down the tracks if his men are coming or going. So keeping track of his men helped keep them safe and the mine running smoothly. Now the foreman kept extra lighting for the men that all had that candle on their hat, maybe extras in their pocket for later, with some matches. But during the day, those candles might get damaged in their pocket. Matches may get damp from sweat, so the foreman made sure all his men had lighting available. And what I'd like to do, folks, is demonstrate that lighting. So I'd like to light 3 candles to represent 3 men that were drilling those 5 holes for the powder man.
Why do we need candles?
Because I want to show you how much light the men worked with. They didn't have electric lights. They only had candles for light on their hat. Let's just see how much light they had, okay? Here we go. Everybody, lights out. Kids, grab your mom. Here we go. Alrighty. Now, so this is pretty much what those men had to work with as their occupational conditions here, folks. Now, even before your eyes adjust, which they would a little bit, you still enough light to recognize the members of your crew. So, once the men finish drilling the 5 holes for the powder man, it's the end of their shift, and they can make their way out of the mine. Well, what if on the way out, one of those men wants to go down a separate tunnel, maybe retrieve tools he left behind? Let's just see what one miner's light looks like when he's off by himself. Okay. Still enough light to recognize anyone you encounter. Enough light to navigate the tunnel. And also enough light to find tools he might have been looking for. So this is, this is their occupational conditions. When they were in here for 10 or 12 hours, when they went into daylight, their eyes would they kind of have to squint. Their eyes would get snowblind. And over time, that became somewhat permanent. They lost their eyesight over time. coming in the daylight after being in the darkness for so long. Now, folks, let's just what if this miner was off by himself and he brushed against the rocks here and knocked his candle out? Let's see what that looks like for a moment, folks. Okay, here we go. You want to blow it out for me? Okay, I'll do it here. Okay, just for a moment here. Let's see what that looks like. Alrighty, so, well, there's some glowing going on, but those men it would have been absolutely dark for these men. If they were in that situation, they could get disoriented, walk the wrong way. The miners had to know what to do. They would find the tracks with their feet, get between the tracks, and make their way to safety. Alrighty, cool. Hey, we'll turn the lights on for everybody.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Alrighty, you were good. That was good. Alright, we'll keep going here. Turn on some more lights. But it is a good time for everyone to count your family members. Folks, we are in the original tunnel in the whole mountain here. But this was after years of digging. This tunnel started at the other end, and as we proceed, we get into older and more primitive tunnel as we make our way. Almost all hand dug the rest of the way. We are going out. We're going to make our way. We are going to stop right here, but you're doing really good. How do you like the cave?
This is the foreman office where we was just at. I can do a lot of talking in this video, I can see. But it's really cool. Let's go back here real quick before they leave. That's where the tunnel stops. It's too cool. Alright, let's keep going.
Each of those tunnels then were connected to chute here.
Right here is one of those blast holes where they put the dynamite. I was trying to get one earlier today, but couldn't really get it. Look at this. It's too cool. Alright, but we're gonna keep going. So I'm on the outskirts of Julian now, and we're at this place called the Lilac Festival. I don't know what this is. I don't really believe it's a festival, but we're gonna find out. We're still close to Julian. It's a little town, small town, a western town. It's actually been really cool so far. We're gonna go inside and check it out. Alright, let's keep going. Check this out. One of the weirdest looking things. It's called Fort Cross. So I'm guessing this is what it looks like on the inside. It's the map. We're gonna go inside. There's some lilac right there. We're gonna go inside and check it out. Let's go. So we're inside. It's kind of strange, to be honest with you. It looked like somebody just got out in their backyard and just started building this fortress type thing. You even got people over here doing some square dancing or whatever. Slightly weird, but it's cool. It's actually pretty cool. Alright, let's keep going and see what else we can see at this weirdly designed place. Let's go. So way over here in the restroom area, this is where you wash your hands. Now I'm sure this is not it. It's just like a art installation, I'm guessing. Not really where you're gonna do your business at, but it's actually pretty cool. Look at that. But this is what I like right here. It's called the mud slide. You get up there, well, you legitimately slide in mud. That's what you do. I honestly thought it had something to do with pooping. Not gonna lie to you, I thought it was funny at first. That's not so funny anymore. But I love it. Look at that, it's legit. The mud slide. That is hilarious. I love it though. Alright, let's keep going, see this place. So we just finished hanging out in the city of Julian. It's really pretty cool. It's been here since like I think he said 76 or 78 or 87 and 86. I don't know, I don't remember. But it's been here since the at least 1870, something like that. But it really was cool. I got to go through the gold mine and everything. That was really cool. And some of the city was really nice. There really wasn't a whole bunch to really film, in my opinion. It's become a really, you can tell it's a very popular tourist attraction. Look at those houses back there. You know, but it's really cool. I will be coming back again because I really enjoyed it. But anyway, we're gonna call it ends at this point. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Wait Have You Seen This? I am your host, Jacoby. I love you guys. There's nothing you can do about it. Click and subscribe. I always mess that up. Click and subscribe. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next one.